Ten Toes family, yo, how are y'all doing today? We got some of the craziest TikTok conspiracies today. Let me tell you, we got some of the craziest videos, and it's a deep dive. And this is for your entertainment purposes only. Yo, make sure to like and subscribe. Join the Ten Toes Collective. We got a new subscriber, and our view count's been going up. So just want to say thank you very much. And also, what are y'all smoking on today? Me? I got two different kinds today. I got a Phoenix 2 gram distillate, which is they're worth it, right? But only when they go on sale. So if you have these in your local shop, pick it up. And when I mean local shop, I mean dispensary. Because don't get that boo from smoke shops. You're gonna be nah, that's not okay. Also, we got the Maui Wowie Jeter. That's the crazy work right there. Yo, I want to make sure that y'all are having a good morning and that everything's going okay with y'all. Make sure to drink your water and eat your breakfast. But without further ado, let's get into it.
I caution you, do not attempt what you're about to see unless you have significant backpacking experience in the desert. Every year, the National Park Service has to help hundreds of hikers and backpackers who overestimate their abilities and underestimate the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon will absolutely astound you, but it can kill you just as quickly.
Let me pause it right there. He's all, it's astounding and it can kill you quickly. And you just see him without any gear just walking along a little baby lip of a cliff. What the heck? Let's get to it.
Like nearly all trails in the Grand Canyon, the one we're hiking is an old Native American route. How long have people lived in or used the Grand Canyon? We don't know for sure, but the best guess is somewhere between 10 to 12,000 years. This estimate is a result of a projectile point found in the canyon. This style of point has been linked to the Paleo-Indian hunter-gatherers who once roamed this landscape. So there's where we ate lunch. Just kind of wanted to try to put in perspective what we're seeing, because I mean, it's just, we jokingly call it the big ditch, but I mean, it's just a huge area that's really hard to fathom and wrap your mind around. Over here, right, we're looking at kind of a section of what would be considered the North Rim. So the North Rim generally sits in higher elevation than the South Rim. When people come and visit, Grand Canyon National Park, generally most of them go to the South Rim. If we had X-ray vision and we could just look through this whole section of canyon and X-ray vision about 25 miles away from here. The South Rim infrastructure is all kind of like over here. Okay, back on trail again. So many different layers of rock in the Grand Canyon, and geologically speaking, each one tells a different story. The shadows are definitely growing longer down there. The trail drops down, there's a little cairn there. Drops down and it gets real steep real quick, and we're going to drop a lot of elevation, eventually wind up somewhere down there. Look at this helicopter flying overhead. It's one of the scenic tours. This is Can we see anybody up there? Just put in perspective how small that thing is out here. Look at that. Teeny tiny helicopter. Puts in perspective how big this place is.
That's wild work.
LSD did not just escape the lab. I suspect they were like, quick, turn all these kids into crazy hippies. Like, try this out, try this out, try this out.
Really?
Yeah, so,
Why do you
so
think
check this
that?
out. Have you read Strange Scenes Inside Laurel Canyon?
I started to read it. I have not finished it.
So, I mean, even just the
But it's
first chapter, right?
nuts.
So if you take that book's premise, it's basically that before the hippie movement, there was a very powerful organized anti-war movement led by a bunch of Quakers, a bunch of black activists, a bunch of, like, my dad was one of them. And it was not this hippie fringe thing. It was a very powerful anti-Vietnam protest. And the moment that LSD gets introduced, it becomes all peace and love. And he points out in that book how
So let me pause it right there, right? So if you guys know, I can't really speak too much on this, right? But if you guys know what MK Ultra is, then you know exactly what he's talking about. Not only that, a lot of the stuff that's flooding the streets, substance-wise, is coming from the feds. And that's just speculation, that's just a theory, don't believe it. It's not real. For entertainment purposes only. But yeah, like there was a certain study, right, that they believe that if they gave them that substance, that they were able to be controlled and manipulated easier. And they did studies through music, they did studies through a lot of things. You can look it up. It's stuff that you can search on the Google, the big Google, where you can search just about anything. Let's get to it.
all of these, like Frank Zappa, like lead members of the Doors, people organizing the Monterey Pop Festival over and over and over. Like he probably has 2 to 3 dozen examples specifically he goes deep into. They all just happen to move from wherever they are all over the world into this area in LA that is not a hotbed for music. And they all just start making music about peace and love and doing LSD. And all of them have parents that are from special forces, intelligence operations, Pentagon. Like some of the musicians themselves have backgrounds that look exactly like CIA operatives that were doing like revolutions in Cuba and overseas.
Like who in specific?
Like the lead singer of the Doors, Jim Morrison, for example. Frank Zappa. So Frank Zappa's one where his dad and his mom were both. Frank Zappa's dad worked at the base that was like the chemical weapons, like where they did their chemical weapons research. His dad was a chemical weapons specialist with like top secret clearances, which is basically like when you read about what his dad was, it sounds a lot like what MK Ultra would be. It sounds a lot like what you would like drug experiments. And
chemical weapons is drug experiments?
Well, chemical is the wrong word. Psychological operations.
There you
but it's
go.
right there, like it's on his Wikipedia page. It's not hard to find these things. What that guy did, that I forget who wrote the book, but what he did was not like uncover evidence that had never been uncovered. He just looked at all these different people whose histories were very public, but he put it all together and realized like that's a lot of people that all moved to this one place and all started producing music that was like all within this one thing. Like Jim Morrison, his dad was the lead commander of the boat that was in the Gulf of Tonkin that started the Vietnam War. That's like kind of a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
And you could definitely make the explanation that kids often rebel against their parents, right? Kids often step out of line and are like fuck the old way.
Right.
But a lot of them were ex-military, like directly ex-suits and ex-CIA.
Wild. Look it up.
Okay, guys, I got a mind blower for you. You ready? If you take a seed, any seed that you're getting ready to plant, and you put it in your mouth and you cover it with your saliva, did you know that that plant will read your DNA and what it's deficient in, and it will add that to the plant that's growing, doesn't matter what kind of plant it is, and that plant will give you everything that your body is deficient in.
Everything
That's
is starting
crazy.
to make sense now, Trump releasing the JFK files today. Let me explain. So on Monday afternoon, Trump is at the Kennedy Center, and he announces that on Tuesday, he is going to be releasing, quote unquote, all of the JFK files. Tuesday comes along, and the files do indeed get released. People were pumped. There was this document being shared widely, pointing to maybe the CIA being involved, although I'm not really 100% sure if this was a...
Let me pause it right there. Yo, every major, or not major story, but a lot of leaked documents and a lot of, I don't know if they're documents that are fraudulent or documents that are cover documents or, because, okay, how they work, right? How the suits work is basically it's a cover up on a cover up on a cover up on a cover up. So that's theoretical. That's only a theory, only speculation for entertainment purposes only. But you gotta read in depth, like deep into documents just to find a piece of the truth in documents. It's wild. And then the CIA, come on, boys, get your shit together. Why are you always involved in everything? You guys are involved in everything. Why? Let's get to it.
Or not. Also pretty sure that this was already public knowledge. There are also a few other documents that confirm that the CIA works closely with Israeli intelligence, which is once again not new information. We already know this. So yeah, overall, as expected, it was a bit of a nothing burger. The conclusion still, Kennedy was killed as he traveled in an open car motorcade through Dallas by a single gunman, Lee Harvey Oswald, on November 22nd, 1963. So why do I say all of this is making sense? It's all going according to plan. Well, because as we were all too busy looking at the files, this happened. Gaza experienced its deadliest day since November 2023 on Tuesday as Israel resumed the war with a deadly wave of airstrikes on the enclave. More than 400 fatalities. Now here's where the plot thickens a little bit. The White House confirmed to the media that they were consulted prior to those strikes happening on Tuesday. It also came out that Trump's promise to release the JFK files set off a, quote, all-night scramble, which would sort of indicate that they weren't ready to release these files quite yet. In other words, his announcement came as a bit of a surprise. A ploy to distract, perhaps, from the fact that we're about to get dragged into possibly another war on behalf of our closest ally. Yeah, because we found out today, 3 more aircraft carriers are headed over to the Middle East. But yet, B, we got a declassified document that says that JFK Jr. called Joe Biden a quote-unquote traitor. I don't know. This is just my take. Maybe I'm too cynical. You tell me.
Yeah, no, for real. Yo, Tento's family, I just wanted to pause it right here just to show my appreciation and just to thank you guys very much and showing a lot of love and support. You know, it means a lot that you guys are subscribed and, keep in with the channel. Yo, we post a lot of content on here. I'm talking about every other day. Unless I'm really busy, then I'll have to do like, you know, maybe 3 videos a week. But I make a video every other day. If you guys like entertainment, y'all like gameplay, reactions, topics, discussions, yo, hit the subscribe button. Only takes about 2 seconds. Yo, the algorithm is finally catching on to the channel, and I really, really thank you all because, without those likes and comments, it wouldn't be possible. So, yo, keep liking and commenting. But, yo, without further ado, let's keep getting to it.
You are literally not going to believe what they've just found underneath the Khafre, the middle pyramid in Giza. I can't believe it myself, but I'm going to show you. There was a press release yesterday in Italy from Filippo Biondi and Corrado Malanga. They have written a paper which has got all the results of their synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, which is a SAR radar scan. So basically using sound waves, I believe, they have scanned deep inside the middle pyramid and all underneath the structure. And then from the results, they are able to create like 3D models of what they think the sound waves are showing. And I can't talk, I'm so excited. So underneath the pyramid, they have found 8 huge cylindrical structures that are aligned perfectly in twos. And there's 4 pairs of them, and they go deep into the earth. So this is the 3D recreation of what the SAR scan shows. So you can see these 8 cylindrical pillars that go deep down, and then each pillar is surrounded by like a circular path or walkway or tube. Okay, this is not all. This is the beginning of it. Not only that, at the very base of the pyramid, like ground zero of the pyramid in the center, they have found 5 of these kind of stacked chambers, which are identical, look like they're kind of identical in size and form as the king's chamber of the Khufu pyramid, the one next door. So these are made with huge blocks of granite, red granite that was brought hundreds of miles away to the Giza plateau and stacked very specifically in this sort of horizontal sandwich with a convex, what, oh my gosh, what's the roof? The roof's on the wonk, there we are. A vaulted ceiling. I'm way too excited. So 5 of them. 5 of these chambers just chilling in the middle of the pyramid. And then 8 cylindrical, massive underground structures that go deep down. And what is under that? I'll show you. So 4 of these cylindrical structures dropping deep down into the earth, they go into 2 square sort of chambers, 2 square empty spaces, which are 80 meters by 80 meters wall to wall. Each of these square chamber walls is 80 meters identically all the way around. Perfect square chambers with 4 cylindrical shafts going into them, or pillars, whatever they are, cylindrical structures with winding, coiled, maybe a walkway. We're not exactly sure. This is just what is showing up from the scans. Oh, and I'm sorry, did I tell you how deep these cylindrical tubes go under the pyramid? 648 meters. 648
Yo, let me
meters.
pause it right there. Yo, y'all realize how big 648 meters really is? Yo, that's not small. That's crazy work. Yo, but Nikola Tesla, he wasn't wrong. Well, so that's only a speculation and a theory. But so his studies showed that, there was somehow a way that there was some kind of device that pulled free energy from the earth. But of course, they're gonna cover that up because they can't make their money. You can't make your money, then you cannot buy your caca, and that's it. Because they're fucking assholes and they're greedy as fuck. So that's about it. But yo, let's get to it.
Under the main pyramid. And then you hit the 80-meter 2 chambers, and then this is a map of the whole of the Giza plateau. So in the center, wait, I'm going to move. This here is the chambers that are in the center pyramid. The cylindrical chambers going down to whatever's going on 648 meters down here. There is evidence that there are more structures that go on for 2 kilometers underneath the Giza plateau, all interconnecting underneath all 3 pyramids. And apparently there's going to be more press releases. This is just the beginning. The team are going to do some more press. This is so very exciting. One thing I will say is that the idea that the pyramid was just a tomb for a dead pharaoh, why would you need 648 meters of perfectly aligned north to south pillars that go into an antechamber that then...
Let me pause it right there. Yo, for anybody who believes that the pyramids were just tomb for pharaohs, y'all are really, really too into the box. Y'all are just NPCs at this point. Y'all don't have imagination. Y'all don't, you know what I mean? You guys don't even know what a deep dive really is. Well, I mean, not everybody, but I even knew that it wasn't, just where pharaohs were being placed. You guys got to think about it. The earth is so old, right? And throughout all of this time, erosion or settlement and erosion or whatever it's called, that happens, which means, if you look right in the dirt or in the rocks, you could see different colors. It might be orange, a little red, a little yellow, a little red, or whatever. That's all erosion, right? That's all where the water used to be. That's all dirt, dust, it's all rock, it's all everything that, covered the land that was before it. So if we were to dig underneath our feet right now, including yourself watching this video, right? and just kept digging and digging and digging and digging and digging, you'd find a lot more than you even know. Just like some of those giant structures, or those civilization structures that are like Greece and stuff like that. If they were to keep digging, they would have giant pillars. They would have some type of foundation below that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but there's so much underneath our feet, and it keeps going. A world that we didn't even know. And I believe that our ancestors were very, 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 very technologically advanced. Not like, to when, we had to go back to the Stone Age, but before that. I tell you.
Underground network of stuff. It's a bit excessive, isn't it? Just for a tomb. I'm going to be following this very closely, and if I find out anything more, I will bring you the information. I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy hunting.
Cheerio. Just kidding.
Hey friends, breaking news at the Pyramid of Giza. You are not going to believe what they found, not only inside the Great Pyramids, but underneath the Great Pyramids. This discovery is going to change everything that we know about, well, everything. Check this out, guys. So in 2022, they used this new type of technology. It's called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, and it's something that they can use to look inside of things. And they use this kind of radar to make this like 3D model of the interior of things, and they can see stuff with this technology that you can't see any other way. And when they did this, they found some remarkable things that they didn't expect to find inside the pyramid. Like these 5 new chambers that they didn't know existed before, and this unique sloping roof that they can't really explain. But when they redid this experiment a couple years later, that's when things got real crazy. So this is the pyramid, and this is underground. They found 8 of these gigantic columns that go down over a mile, guys, down into the ground. And you see these things that are wrapped around them? They think that these are actually staircases, pathways that go down, but they also act as like a coil that you would find on some sort of like an electromagnetic battery or something like that. And these things go down over a mile into the ground, and you're never gonna believe what they go into. All 8 of them feed into these 2 gigantic cubes. These cubes are hundreds of feet wide and tall. Now, this is super significant because in the Emerald Tablets and all sorts of other ancient texts and books and things like that, they have talked about things underneath the Great Pyramid, like the halls of Amenti and these secret libraries of Atlantis and things like that. And now we're finding these gigantic columns that go down over a mile from the base of the pyramid into these gigantic cube rooms. So the official findings just came out a few days ago, and they say near the base of the pyramid, 5 identical structures are seen connected by geometric pathways. Inside each of these are 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof. This is what's above. This is what's actually inside the pyramid. Below these 5 structures are 8 cylindrical structures which appear to be vertical wells, hollow inside and surrounded by descending spiral pathways. These 8 vertically aligned cylindrical structures, arranged in 2 parallel rows from north to south, descend to a depth of 648 meters. That is so far down, where they all merge into 2 large cubic structures measuring approximately 80 meters per side. The entire structure extends approximately 2 kilometers beneath the surface. That's 1.2 miles, and extends beneath all 3 pyramids of the Giza Plateau complex. Holy cow, guys. So not only did they find 5 new structures inside the Great Pyramid that have never been discovered and explored before, but underneath the pyramid, going down over a mile, are 8 gigantic tubes surrounded by spiral staircases that feed into these 2 huge boxes. Now, what could these things do? Well, the paper goes on to hypothesize. The massive underground structure revealed by the recent SAR data shows what appear to be a mechanical or functional system, and this has been hypothesized in the past. Nikola Tesla believed that the pyramids could harness Earth's natural frequencies. This arguably inspired his experiments in wireless energy transmission scalar waves. In the Giza power plant,
Yo, let me pause it right there. So, I forget what museum it is. I forget what museum it's at, but they have in an enclosed case, I believe, or not an enclosed case, but they have the tip of a pyramid inside of a museum. Imagine Imagine if that's some sort of like connector or like the last piece of like the puzzle. You know, they connect that top piece that they have, and imagine it starts up like some kind of energy device. That is a theory, and for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to it.
The book argued that the Great Pyramid was a power generating machine using resonant and acoustic forces to convert mechanical stress into electricity. In the Giza Death Star, another book, Joseph Farrell proposed that the Great Pyramid of Giza was a weapon of mass destruction using a type of physics that he calls paleophysics to focus energy as a scalar weapon. Death Star? Now, I don't know what they're for, but all I know is with the whole Chris Bledsoe coming up Easter thing of next
Let
year.
me pause it right there. Sorry, I don't mean to keep pausing it, but I mean, it would make sense because there's inner chambers inside of it, and then there's parts where like energy and light can bounce off and it can go inside. So imagine if it is just kind of like a death ray, like Lord of the Rings Eye of dang, what is it, Sauron or whatever? I forgot whatever the freaking name is, but imagine it's just like a giant magnifying glass that's like a death ray, just a giant fireball. Now that would be wild work. Speculation.
The gaze of the Red Star Regulus and the Sphinx and the opening of the Atlantis, library and all these things that have been prophesized. And now we're finding this. Ooh, all I know is keep your eyes on these pyramids, baby, because things are getting really interesting. Let me know what you guys think about this. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
Correct.
What the fuck is that?
You are not going to believe what they found under the Egyptian pyramids. Now, it is still very early and they have not released the full report. They had a press release talking about it on Saturday.
Yo, let me pause it right there. I don't know if that was like a reach or if that was like rage bait or clickbait or whatever, but that was unnecessary. Let me see. What's your name? Metaphysics. Metaphysics. Metaphysical Mister. Metaphysical Mister. Yo, that was a very unnecessary. But yo, that was the end of the video. Tento's family. This was a deep dive in. I guess there was a lot of pyramid talk on here, but that second video after that lady, that had a good explanation of what it could be. So I hope y'all guys are having a good day. Also, if you guys want to see something or something specific, drop it down in the comments. Also, leave a positive comment for someone, they might need it. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment. Also, like and subscribe. Tento's family. On to the next one. We're gonna get crazy with it this week, but later.